Okay, 8th house and 12th house. If you look in the government right now, there is the federal level and there's the state level. Of course, we know this. The federal level is expressing right now that, there are safe haven, sanctuary cities and states, I believe is the terminology, that they are harboring illegal immigrants and illegal activity or whatever the case may be. And because of that, city and state is under fire, and agents will be sent in to apprehend these people and deport them to where they came from, or XYZ. You get the gist, right? Okay. That's being expressed from a federal level. Now, the state level, you see mayors popping up here and there, senators popping up here and there, and they're like, we don't care what you say or what you send your soldiers to do. We're keeping our people here. Those people have rights. We don't care if they're here illegally or not. They're staying. We're protecting them, X, Y, and Z. All right? It's pretty much how it goes. So that's from the city-state level, right? Now, this is the peculiar thing about this breakdown, is that the federal level is using Scorpion 8th house tactics when they're expressing this. Why? Because they're saying, look, we had an oath, right? State for state, we said there's rules and regulations that create boundaries, right? Rules and regulations do what? They create boundaries. They say you can and you can't. Boundaries are more associated with the 8th house, more associated with Scorpio. Boundaryless that's the word, yeah, sure is 12th house, is more Piscean, right? It says it's fluid. It says you come in, you come out as you please, right? However, it's the city and the state who is utilizing these Piscean 12th house tactics. Now, the reason why I'm making this claim, or the reason why I'm stating this or framing this in this way to start this off, is because in its natural essence, these two houses, the 8th house really represents the localities, the city and the state. And the 12th house really represent the federal government, which is oversees the allocation of coming in and out of the trade and all of that. You know what I'm saying, right? Across boundaries is pretty much what I'm saying. Now, 12th house rules over foreign land. So here we are with these two energies having a push and pull. This is happening right now in the universe. Now, I know this is kind of polarizing. However, I'm getting to it to where these two houses always have worked hand in hand, always have had a relationship, always have cooperated, and for the most part, probably always will. There are game changers, right? So some people say, it's only the players that change, it's not the game. It's not completely true. You heard the terminology before, oh, that's a game changer. Sometimes things change, and the only thing that's constant is change. So you see that type of change when new election cycles come in, because what happens is new rules and regulations are formed and new policies are passed through due to the behavior, human behavior, right, that took place in the past 4 to 8 years. That's how the cycle goes. That's how this whole process goes. Okay, so now I'm going to clarify so you know that I'm not making this up. I'm not stating this to polarize or create a divide. It's already divided by this house being the 8th and Scorpio, and this house being the 12th and Pisces, so on and so forth. We're all segmented, but we're all together. I've said this before, and don't get me wrong either. Like, all of y'all have natal charts. Your 12th house might not be Pisces. You know what I'm saying? Your 8th house might not be Scorpio. So the signs that are there will apply to 12th house and 8th house. However, some of the functions of Pisces and Scorpio still do apply to those houses. All right? Just to clear that up very briefly as well. Not to confuse you, but if you're learning astrology and you're into this stuff already, you already know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I got my list just so I make sure I don't leave out any other factors that is fundamentally associated with these two houses. Okay? All right. So that means that any astrologer can look at this video and fact check things that I'm about to read off about these two different houses. All right. First, I'm going to read off the 8th house and I'm going to read off the 12th house. The 8th house, consists of joint resources, other people's money, your partner's business or personal's earning potential, combined total assets, taxes, inheritance, insurance, loans, mortgages, spouse maintenance, sex, and child support. Okay, now I'm going to come back down a list and I'm going to break it down of how these things are related or pertain to localities, city and state, and how they have boundaries. Joint resources. That's basically saying I got some money, my girl got some money, we putting them together. Now we're what? A power. 8th house, Scorpio, we're a power couple, right? Two earned incomes are better than one. We now earn more than one person in some situations, right? In a lot of situations, we earn more than another person because we decided to come together and join as a team, as a couple. That's 8th house stuff, fundamentally. All right. So what happens there is what? That's my money. That's my girl money. Yo, don't be asking my girl for money. Or you might be married at this point. 8th house is life after marriage. Don't be asking us for money. You don't know us like that. You're not in our family, right? Boundaries. Okay. Your partner's business or personal earning potential. So that's probably the introduction of how you two tie the knot as well. Well, not the introduction, but it's another factor in tying the knot. Well, babe, how much you make? This is how much I make. Will we be able to get through next year? Do we have enough to cover the wedding? Those types of talks and discussions come about inside of this house. Again, that is boundaries. If you're not in that couple's earning income bracket or whatever the case may be, you just don't count. Like you're not in. There's no way you can get in that. That is a boundary. Okay. Combined total assets. Okay. She bought a house. I bought a house. We're in real estate. We got a few houses, right? That means together we are worth X, Y, and Z because these houses are valued on the market at this price, X, Y, and Z. All right. Still, again, it's boundaries. Can you go squat in my house? No. Can you go squat in our house? Me and my wife's houses? No. Like you don't got no mortgage. You don't got nothing from the bank stating, no document stating that you can live there. You can't be there. Boundary. Okay. Taxes. It gets interesting now. Taxes, IRS, investigates other people's money. That is totally scorpionic, totally 8th house, investigating people's money, right? So the boundary here exists because they're not investigating people in Thailand's money. They're not investigating people in Singapore's money. They're investigating people in the USA or wherever you reside watching this video. Not to cut y'all out of it, y'all. Pardon me. But you get the gist, right? It's a locality thing. You're calculating because we're doing GDP logistics, right? We want to know how much income was earned by the nation so that we can make allocations later on to siphon or circulate and allocate those taxed finances to other things, which is 12th house. I'm getting to that though. And this is how these relationships always been like this. Some 8th houses and 12th houses know this type of stuff. I doubt they argue or go through turmoil. But however, in the beginning of this video, right, I just announced how the energies are at each other regardless. You know what I'm saying? The president is not a Scorpio or a Pisces. It's a Gemini with a Leo ascendant. You know what I'm saying? However, the energy is being expressed there because of how these houses' energy exists, and it's not personal. It's macroeconomic, all right? So it gets interesting, like as I said. Inheritance, which means what? Death is also something else that's associated with the 8th house, death transformation, right? So when someone passes away, they got money left over, what happened? It's either controlled in an estate, should it be a business, or they have a will, that money gets passed down to their siblings or whoever they say it goes to a charity, however, but it gets, something happens with that money, right? So, but it's still a boundary. It's just not going to go to anybody. No, this person going to say it goes to X, Y, and Z when I pass away. Or, you know, be in the estate. I believe this person should control the estate. It might even be government they might appoint it to. It might be a charity that they give their money to. But that's the boundary that people create with that money. Insurance, loans, mortgages. So debt is ruled by the 8th house as well. You don't have any money, you need some money, here goes some money, just pay it back at this rate, right? With insurance, the same thing. What happens when people insure stuff, right? They say, oh, okay, I'm going to put money on, I'm insure myself, I'm going to insure my spouse, I'm going to insure our kids. I'm not insuring you. I'm not insuring the neighbors. I'm not insuring the people all the way over there in Thailand and Singapore. I don't know why I keep saying those places, but maybe I want to visit in the back of my mind. But you get what I'm saying, right? It's a local thing. It's a locality, right? But it's a boundary. It's us, not them. Mentality. This is this is fundamental Scorpio 8th house. All right. Mortgages, same thing. Me and my spouse, we buy houses. Oh, okay, we might be in real estate, but we buy houses. Can you go squat in our house? No. You need a document stating that you paid a mortgage, you got a deal, 30-year, whatever the case, or you just bought the house flat out. You know what I mean? You're just paying property taxes now. But you have documentation stating that that house is yours, or that you lease an apartment in that house now, or you can't come in there. Boundary. All right. Same thing with the loans. If I take out a loan, I don't have to give you you're not obligated to my money. That's my loan. You know what I'm saying? That's between me and the debtor who's loaning the money, right? That's a relationship between us, but that's another boundary. You can't get into that. You know what I'm saying? Spouses maintenance. Now let's pay attention. Spouses maintenance means is really the divorce settlement, how you take care of each other after the divorce. When that happens, you know what I'm saying? So 8th house largely associated with two or more people at that. You know what I mean? So should that split or that divide happen, it's still a financial thing. That's all 8th house logic. Like you still got to be taken care of at the rate you was being taken care of before, if that person still accumulates wealth at that same rate. It's just how it goes. That's 8th house stuff. A lot of money talk, right? A lot of money talk going on. All right. But sex, of course, right? Again, two or more people. Two people intertwine, interlock. They bang, they shack, make love. Some of y'all been saying make love in a video or whatever. You know, that's what you do. You listen to your Brian McKnight and you make love. That's 8th house, right? I would say more 5th house, but okay. Child support is also something that comes from the 8th house. It's still a money thing. It's still a financial vehicle. Children got to be taken care of too. But that's a boundary. You're not paying support to somebody else. Well, some of these cities and states, it's not funny. I shouldn't be laughing. That's not funny. But if you spending time with them kids, or if the baby's moms or baby father blinks at you a certain way, those are your kids in certain states. But it's a boundary, right? Certain states. It's a locality thing. You're not doing this for these children way on the other side of the world. Okay, and other people's money is pretty much through sales, right? Let's say you and your spouse, you start a business. You sell cupcakes. People walk past your store. They don't know y'all. They buy your cupcakes. It's still a boundary. You don't got to give them the money back. It's not like they give you the money, you get them the cupcake, and you say, hey, you know what? You're great people. Here, take the money back. No, money is yours, right? Boundary. It's you and your business partner, whether that be your spouse or whoever. You know what I'm saying? Boundary. Don't litter on my front porch, or don't break my window, or whatever. Okay, you get the gist, right? All right. So you hear all of the local characteristics associated with the 8th house. So naturally, in its essence, the 8th house is city-state, right? It's, if we're looking at it in intelligence agencies, you'd call it the FBI or the NSA or the Department of Defense, right? We are stationed here. Our job is to protect here, to protect home, to protect our local environment. That is 8th house stuff. And you can clarify that. We just clarified that by reading off this list. All right. So now I'm going to get to the 12th house. I'm going to explain the 12th house, right? I'm going to read off the list of the 12th house first. 12th house, self-renewal, subconscious, self-talk, intuitive, psychic ability, inner spirituality, karma or self-undoing. Whole bunch of yoga mat stuff so far, right? Secrets, worries, confidential information, private matters. Now we're getting a bit interesting, right? Things just took a shift into, as I said before, like think intelligence agencies. So these types of factors that I just read off are more associated with the CIA. But let me finish reading the list off first, and then I'll come back down. Deception, unknown enemies, hospitals, jails, prisons, nursing homes, charitable organizations, and government relief. Okay, so let's go back to the top. Self-renewal, subconscious mind. Okay, self-renewal is, as I spoke about before, probably in more Pisces videos, 12th house videos. I do have a couple of those, I think. But you hear me talk about how Pisces do well when they discard things that they no longer need. They make themselves lighter. They make themselves stoic. They become stoic, and they learn to live without. It's kind of like a monkish type thing, right? So that's how they renew themselves, get themselves patched up, ready to dart back out in an Aries style of doing things, or whatever it is that they set out to do. It goes along the cycle of the wheel, right? All right. Self-talk, that's really tapping into your subconscious mind. You're talking to yourself, you're figuring out your thoughts, you're figuring out all of your thoughts, and you're trying to make decisions based upon self-talk. Intuition, intuitive, these things you always hear about Pisces anyway, being intuitive, having psychic ability, inner spirituality. Now, the 12th house is about karma, right? So the 12th house is about karma. So again, I'm saying it as a Pisces, but everyone has a 12th house. You may have Leo in the 12th house. Matter of fact, to the person who just commented in the comment section about they have a sun in the 12th house of Leo, yes, those things apply to you too. Whatever I say about 12th house apply to you, even if your sign is different from Pisces. And just to capitalize off of that, sun and Leo in the 12th house, you're more powerful behind the scenes. So you may feel torn at times trying to, express yourself and roar like the lion does, but you just feel darkened or dampened or rejected when trying to do so, or like nobody sees you. It's like the lights are off. And it's because you're more powerful behind the scenes. That's another time, but that's just to help you out, or anyone else who has that placement. But, the 12th house is about karma and self-undoing as well. So it's kind of like if you don't learn a certain lesson, a particular lesson, or you don't understand that certain things just don't serve you well, and you continue to do it because the 12th house rules the subconscious mind, then you can find yourself experiencing karma. Things like repeated loops that happen to you over and over again, and you're like, why me? And it's just like, that's the same thing. The conscious mind is now saying, why me? But the subconscious mind is like, because it's on autopilot. Like, this is what you do, right? This is what you like to do. Obviously, you keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? That's how the universe works. And some people don't get that, but that's along the lines of the 12th house. All right. So here's where it starts getting interesting, though. Secrets, worries, confidential information, and private matters. So that's why I said you can refer this to CIA, because CIA can go anywhere in the world and, do what they do, and they have the jurisdiction to do so. So the 12th house also represents foreign lands. Not only that, but contracts and money derived from foreign lands. So this is, again, in its natural essence, it's associated with the 12th house. And this is the difference between the two houses. Right, so when you hear the CIA speak, or when you see it in the movies, you hardly ever hear CIA speak, right? And any of us do. But, these identities a lot of the times are what? Unknown, right? Nobody knows who they are. They don't even have like real state IDs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They'll take less pay, like they're not paid like superstars, right? They don't care about stuff like that. A lot of these identities are kind of like rejected children, or that didn't fit in, or just like savants in some aspects, and stuff like that. It's just like the weirdo kids, I guess, depending on who you're asking. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put anybody down who's, investigating intelligence agencies. I'm just saying, like, these are the people who felt that they were better off in the shadows. 12 houses. You get what I'm saying? All right. So, but deception is there. Unknown enemies. So unlike the 6th house where you can see your enemies, 7th house, you know who your enemies are. You're out in public. You see each other. You're like, then you try to do something Libran. Should you try to diffuse the tension between each other, but it's in the light, it's in the public arena, it. 12th house, nothing's in the public arena about the 12th house. Everything is veiled, everything is behind the curtain, so you don't know. It's a discovery house though, so you'll find out should you look, or should it just happen to you. But that's where your unknown enemies are, in your 12th house. So you hear the whole espionage thing that I'm going with here, right? How, you may go overseas and this one is doing this one and waterboarding that one and selling guns to that one, missile secrets over here, and you get the gist. But all of this is along the line like CIA. They'll say, okay, this is confidential information, right? We don't want the public knowing X, Y, and Z. Some files, just throw it away completely. No one needs to hear about this. It never happened, right? It's 12th house. Now it gets interesting as well here, because there's hospitals, jails, prisons, nursing homes, charitable organizations, and government relief. So the reason why I says it gets interesting here as well, because this is the information that truly ties these two houses together when it comes to government relief, hospitals, jails, prisons. Just think about it, right? If you are in the eighth house and let's say your business is insured. An accident or injury happens inside of your business. That person goes to matter of fact, go to the hospital, but you're insured, right? But you go to the hospital. What happens? You get patched up. You self-renew. You get patched up. You heal. You come out stronger. You come back out in an Aries fashion, right? You see the indoor, outdoor associated with the 12th house?